Our dominant ideology is based on a lie, the idea that human beings are fundamentally selfish. Some economists even have a word for this. They call us homo economicus, self-maximizing man, elbowing other people out of the way in order to enhance our own wealth and power. And it's certainly true that some economists behave like that. And some public figures behave like that. But it does not describe the majority of humankind by a long chalk. We are, in fact, an exceptional species with levels of altruism and empathy that exceed those of any other species. And that capacity for altruism appears to be innate. From the age of 14 months, children will try to help others to reach something that's out of their grasp. By the time they're 2, they will start to share valued possessions, not just with family members, but with unrelated people, something which really marks us out from the great majority of animal species. By the time they're 3, they will start establishing moral norms, imposing on their friends and other people they know altruistic codes. Don't behave like that, that's wrong. And all these seem to be innate and embedded characteristics, part of the normal human psyche. But it is quite exceptional in terms of the rest of the animal kingdom. When it comes to another characteristic too, we are way out ahead of almost all other species, which is our degree of social interaction, the extent to which we possess social minds. Perhaps the only species which goes further than us is the naked mole rat, but I won't go into that today. And these two characteristics brought together will create this remarkable moral sense and an ability to project our moral selves well beyond our immediate circumstances. A recent paper in a psychology journal points out that Homo economicus is an excellent description of chimpanzees, and it's a really bad description of human beings. But the danger is that if we keep telling ourselves we're selfish and greedy and grasping and we just shove everyone out the way, that could become a self-fulfilling claim. That we start to see other people as a social threat. We start to see them as being above all else competitive in their relations with us, rather than the thing which humans do better than any other species, being cooperative. And I wouldn't claim that this is the only thing setting us apart, or the only thing responsible for the extraordinary levels of loneliness which many of the 7 billion people crowded onto this planet paradoxically suffer. Plainly, there's been all sorts of economic and technological and social change which have also been responsible for these horrendous levels of involuntary social isolation. But it's bound to be a factor, surely, if this is the way that we see other people and we sense this social threat from other people, that is bound to set us apart. And Ewan and I came together to challenge that myth and to challenge the idea, which is completely unscientific, that we are fundamentally, as Thomas Hobbes claimed, solitary, poor, and our lives are nasty, brutish, and short. They are at least quite long nowadays. But to actually try to stand up to that myth, which had its roots in an understanding of human evolution, which was confined to the book of Genesis. And now, what we know from neurobiology, from psychology, from human evolution, we know we are not like that. But unfortunately, that's not the message that often comes across. And what we've decided to do is to use the most powerful medium human beings have invented for bringing people together in order to spread that message, and that's music. We wrote an album called Breaking the Spell of Loneliness, and the first track lays out our manifesto, Such a Thing as Society.
Hello.
This, my friend, is the time on earth.
glitter of gold and the silver charade. We see ourselves in the image they've made. Have we fought for the scraps since the very first day? Do we really believe there's no other way? Do we really believe there's no other way? There is such a thing as society. It keeps us from losing our minds. It's working and living and laughing together that makes us humankind. It's not who we are, it's not how we live. In the depths of disaster we hurry to give. We lend our hand to strangers we meet, and we go without so that others can eat. We go without so that others can eat. There is such a thing as society. It keeps us from losing our minds. It's working and living and laughing together that makes us humankind. Watch it all wither in the light of the sun, in the warmth of our deeds, in the labour we've done. Uncover the lie, tear down the wall. United we'll stand, divided we'll fall. United we'll stand, divided we'll fall. There is such a thing as society. It keeps us from losing our minds. It's working and living and laughing together that makes us humankind.
Something is plainly going wrong for the most ultra-social of all species, and the sector of our society which seems to be suffering from it most is our children. Childhood should be a time of lightness and joy, but recent statistics suggest that for many it's a time of horrible darkness. One figure that came out, well, just last week, suggests that children here in Britain, girls, have increased the rate of hospitalisation for cutting themselves almost fourfold over the last 10 years. There's something going very badly wrong here indeed. And I think there are several possible explanations. Well, what makes this strange is that parenting seems to have improved almost beyond recognition in the past 50 years, that parents are more engaged, more switched on to their children than perhaps they've ever been before. Fathers are much more involved, and yet all this really bad stuff is happening at the same time. Social media possibly has something to do with it. It's a great force for bringing us together, but it can also set us apart, especially when it becomes a means of social comparison. And girls, for instance, using all this retouching software to make themselves look slimmer and smoother than they really are, and the potentially devastating impacts that has when you're constantly trying to compare yourself to this idealized image, which you can't possibly reach. But I think there's something else happening as well. And I think it's got something to do with one of the greatest and least documented social changes we've undergone, which is children not going outdoors. It is quite remarkable the extent to which this has taken place. For example, in the course of just one generation, 25 years, the unaccompanied home range of children, the area that they roam unsupervised by adults, has reduced by 90%. And this not only has impacts on their physical health, just not getting fit enough, not developing physical skills, not only cuts them off from the natural world and cuts off the possibility that those children could turn into the new generation of people loving and defending that natural world, I think it also has a devastating impact on their social skills. Because when you're not being supervised by adults, when you're running around with a tribe of children of your own age, you have to work it out for yourself. You have to develop those social skills by yourself. You have to work out what's a sensible thing to do and what's not. And you learn so much better that way when you're engaged in your own learning process rather than being told. And you develop the social skills and very often the friendships which will carry you through life. And staying indoors, staring at a screen by yourself, well, that makes you the subject of our next song, The Child Inside.
Down here are quiet now, where once they rang with shouts and laughter, the songs that echoed through the vale. As children left, they followed after the streams that once we jumped and swam, the old oak tree we gathered under. The child inside has lost these sights. The child inside has lost the wonder. The woods down here have watched me grow, from a child upon my father's shoulders. I climbed and lay across the bough, then scaled the tree as years grew older. In the light and warmth of days long gone, we built a dell down by the river. We made a swing from a frayed old rope. We spun and fell, laughed and shivered. Dandelion clocks unblown, conkers lie about uncollected. Even the words have withered now, like winter leaves they lie neglected. A wren is turning on the wing, minnows weave and dart the water. Blackberries line the branch unpicked by my son or by my daughter. This busy road's no kind of place to run and laugh and play together. So the child inside is far from day, far from the sting and warmth of weather. The woodland glades untrodden now, the bramble paths lie hidden under. The child inside has lost these sights. The child inside has lost the wonder.
And it's not just children who have been cut off from the living world. Through enclosure, over the course of hundreds of years, almost all of us were shut out by one means or another from the countryside, losing the great fortifying commons that provided so much of our subsistence, but also so much of our social and community and ceremonial life as well. We ended up in the cities. Britain was the first largely urbanized nation on earth. And there we developed a new commons, the street, where so much of our community life and so much of our ceremonial life took place. But then that commons too has gradually been taken away from us, in this case by another force, the motor vehicle. And the busier the traffic on the street, the less social connection you have with your neighbours, the fewer of your neighbours that you know. But the good news is that many people are trying to reverse that. They're trying to take back that urban commons. They're trying to reclaim the street.
Fast to the ground. 7 billion lives alone together in the double glazed rows of the town. But once there was a time of feasts and holy days, carnivals and fairs lit the town. However grim life got, folk came together to turn the old world upside down. Roll out the beer and lay out the tables, hang the flags and come on out to eat. Open wide your doors and stand together. Today we're reclaiming the street. Once it took a street to raise our children, time when no one died unknown. No windows, no doors were locked or bolted. Now once again let's make these streets our own. For these streets belong to everyone and no one. A winding commons that we share, from the parks to the playing fields and benches. These streets are more than just a thoroughfare. So roll out the beer and lay out the tables, hang the flags and come on out to eat. Open wide your doors and stand together. Today we're reclaiming the street. Highways dissect the town before us, cut it left and right like a knife. For one day at least let's roll away the engines, and once again we'll fill these streets with life. We'll dance on the pavements here together, take back the road for the kids to play, pull down the billboards and the fences, learn to walk these streets another way. So roll out the beer and lay out the tables, hang the flags and come on out to eat. Open wide your doors and stand together. Today we're reclaiming the street. Today we're reclaiming the street.
It's our belief that the health of a political society depends on the ability of people to come back together. That if we are to see political renewal in this country or in any other, it's going to depend not on angry meetings of people shouting at each other, which is what most people foresee political engagement as being. It's going to depend on social and cultural gatherings of people once more reasserting community. It's going to depend on the recognition that we stand together or we fall apart. Thank you.